Our church is working together to grow a generous spirit, and there are so many wonderful spiritual practices we can each consider finding our own language for generosity.
It's become natural over time, I think, to think of stewardship as a seasonal thing. I think people think of it as a time of year when they're asked, a time of year when they give, and can be done with giving. And we're really working hard at Federated to change the culture, to be counterculture to that seasonal aspect, and really instill the idea that generosity is something that happens all year round and all throughout your life, in all aspects of the spiritual part of your life. And we want at Federated to infuse generosity into the spiritual life at all times of your family, of yourself, and of all the actions that you take part in each day.
So those of you who are in church in person can find in your pews, but in front of you, a card that we have placed so that you can use this as a guide throughout the year. On this side, particularly, we have ways to grow a generous spirit with some suggestions that any one of us can do at any time.
It's no accident that we used gardening and trees and growing as the imagery for this effort. You can see in some of the imagery on the card that there are hands handing young plants to even younger hands. I think the idea is when we go to our garden and we water our garden, oftentimes it takes weeks, months, years for the fruit to show itself from that watering. And yet the watering those many weeks and months and years ago is so important, and the outcome wouldn't be there if the watering hadn't occurred so long ago. So one aspect of generosity is that it's not an investment return type thing. It's the type of thing where water is provided. Faith in God is the sunshine that shines down on it. And you and I might not ever see the outcome of that, but we trust that God is going to infuse the spiritual lives of others through our own generosity.
We can also grow a generous spirit by being reflective, even imagine in our own minds the person that we know who has been so generous in our lives. What are the characteristics? What are the character traits? And hold those traits up, absorb them, embrace them in our own selves. So that kind of reflection helps us to be more generous.
In addition to the imagery of watering trees and plants, I view generosity as a variety of doors that stand in front of us at all times. And I want to say two things about those doors. Number one, it is incumbent upon us not to wait for somebody to open that door for us and show us through the door. It's incumbent on us to reach for that doorknob. So to seek out opportunities for generosity rather than to wait for them to come in a seasonal campaign or in a specific ask. Really seek out opportunities. This is a way to infuse generosity throughout your spiritual lives, to be seeking.
And generosity in your leadership, in your hospitality, in the treasures that you have, your investments, as well as your time and volunteering. Think in terms of how can you use God's expansive love that is in your life to become a more generous spirit yourself.
Physical possessions are a tough thing to deal with. We are guided in all aspects of human life to want more of them and to guard them and safeguard them and keep them as our own. One of the core concepts, I think, in generosity is the idea of stewardship. Not the old kind of seasonal stewardship that we've spoken about before, but the fact that what we have, while it's a product of our hard work, is more so a gift from God. And we are stewards. We are managers of those resources during our lives. And what are we going to do throughout our lives to utilize those resources in ways that would glorify God? It's hard to do that and not simply keep possessions for ourselves, in whether we think we need them in the future or whether we just do so out of human nature.
You're recognizing that our possessions don't own us, but we are the ones who can control how they are expressed and how our values are expressed through those.
Lastly, I would say in terms of your praying, obviously pray often, but include generosity and include requests for generosity opportunities in your prayers. So often we are steeped in human life that prayers are requests for something for me. Do something for me, make me physically better, bring me something, bring an experience that I'd like at work to happen, bring a success to me. We want to transition ourselves at Federated to a balance of that, but also of wishing for generous things for other people and providing the resources to accomplish that.
To really live life with an abundant mindset for ourselves and for others.
Blessings to you.